Hey, my happy shiny puppies. This is Melody Fletcher, your go-to for everything law of attraction and reality creation. And today I've got a treat for you. What follows is an excerpt from one of our live Q&A calls where people just like you, students just like you, were able to ask me questions and I answered them. And today you're going to get one of those. And as you see in the coming weeks, we're going to be rolling out more and more of these. And if you'd like the chance to be a part of one of these Q&A calls for free, then stay to the end of the video and I'm going to tell you exactly how to do that. All right, I'll see you on the other side. Bye.
So the big question is this: how do we, those of us who feel deep down that we're much more powerful than we've been led to believe, and that there is something to this law of attraction stuff, actually create our own realities? What's the process of simply stepping into the reality of our choice? What about those of us who need this process to make logical, intellectual sense? My name is Melody Fletcher. You've got questions about the technology of reality, and I've got the answers. Welcome to my channel where the law of attraction finally makes some freaking sense.
There she is.
Is it too dark? Melody, so while I was waiting, I made you this.
What? Oh my God, that's so cool.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I like drawing while I listen to stuff. So, okay, anyway, where's my question? My question is, once you've committed to having a higher vibrational state, how does that change how you interact with people? And also, sort of along with that, like, it doesn't make sense to me why people who, like J.K. Rowling, for example, like she wrote Harry Potter and it was exactly what she wanted to write. And she's like, I believe in this and whatever. But then she was rejected by like 20 different people. And then it was like,
never even read the book.
Oh, yeah.
So
well, like I think that's part of it though, is like people, like if you're not what people are expecting, they're not going to open the door for you at all. And then like only one person believes in you and then everyone believes in you. And then it's like,
No. The only person who really had to believe in J.K. Rowling was J.K. Rowling. Yeah. So she had to go through a process of being rejected until she basically, I'm certain at some point the woman had a tantrum and of some kind and had to reaffirm, had her moment where she had to really decide that she wanted this, where she had to really decide that she was going to go for this and let this come out. And she could not have manifested people reading her book and loving it, but then somehow not signing her. You know, like a lot of those people were never even inspired to read the book. And do you know the story of how she got her book published?
That she was like at a payphone?
No, because it was, I think her agent gave it to the publisher, and the publisher, the guy there, it was either the agent that owed somebody a favor or the publisher owed somebody a favor, but owed the other person a favor. And so he still wasn't going to read the damn book, but he gave it to his 8-year-old daughter. And his 8-year-old daughter read the book. And there's a piece of paper in a museum, Harry Potter museum, where she basically wrote the first review for the book. And off of that, it got published because it was manifested into a child's hands. Because I also asked her, like, how is that possible that people didn't publish, Harry Potter? They didn't read it. They didn't read it. But they weren't inspired to. This was her manifestation. And also, you have to understand, we had to be ready for Harry Potter. This was a massive co-creation. So the timing had to be perfect to bring this out. Everything had to be coming together. But I promise you that there was some resistance in her that caused, her to maybe go, but nothing went wrong. Nothing went wrong. She just had to get to the point where maybe she got, I don't know specifically, but where she got to the point where she was so sick of being rejected and it was her own doubt that had to be overcome. And where she just made the decision, like, no, fuck it, this is good. I'm going to do that. I mean, J.K. probably didn't say fuck it, but I'm going to say it. And, well, maybe she did. But kind of had to, and we've all had moments like that in our life where things just not working out, things not working out. Then we get mad. Then we just finally go, no, I am having this. I'm not putting up with this anymore. And then things open up.
Okay, but like, well, I guess, like, partly I'm wondering, like I get from her perspective sort of like it wasn't working and then she manifested it working. But I sort of don't get from like a universe perspective how it's like if somebody believes in themselves and everyone's rejecting them until like one person is like, oh, this is good. And then it's like five.
Worse. You're turning it around. Yeah. It's not that nobody believes in you until one person believes in you and then finally everything's okay. It's got nothing to do with them. It's that when she made a shift, somebody who felt the same way showed up.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't really have to do
The
with
penny
like
just dropped.
how many
Yes.
people or something. Okay. And then, so the first part of my question, like once you decide to be in that high vibrational state, like how does that change how you interact with people? Like I see a lot of like famous people who are like annoyed by it, and then other people who like nobody seems to like bother them. So like once you decide to like, be a beacon of light, like what's sort of like a better way to like shine? But like, let's say you like do need help, or like you do like what would you say the difference is between like going around about it like a better way versus like a not good way? Does that make sense?
Well, I think there is no better way. I think there's your way, and that's the challenge. You have to find what you want. How do you want to engage with people from whatever vibrational level you're at? And that is something that's always changing for me, something I'm always discovering in more and more detail. And so, because here's the thing, you're not always going to be the nicest person. Sometimes you're going to need to set a boundary. You're not always going to be interested in talking with people. Sometimes you are, and sometimes you're not. You're not a one-dimensional being who always has the same mood. When you're tired, you get off a plane, there's a bunch of fans, you might not have it in you to engage with them in a fun way in that moment. And yet another time you might be like, that's the funnest thing in the world for me to do. I can't wait to do more and more of it. And so it's you say famous people, but not all famous people are high vibing.
Yeah.
Let's not put them on a pedestal. Yeah. Right. And because it can also highlight a lot of problems, fame, and can be quite a terrible experience, really. Fame can. Yeah. It's not a great experience for everyone. How do you engage with people differently? I can tell you what I have discovered, if that's helpful, but that is my perspective for me. Yeah. And so my thing is that I consider myself a nice person. That's within my integrity. I don't like being a bitch. I'm willing to be a bitch if I gotta be. If you push me hard enough or it just comes out of me, I'm absolutely willing to let that happen. But as a general rule, I don't see myself as a balls to the wall kind of, demanding person, because it doesn't feel good to me to be like that. It feels much better to me to have really pleasant interactions with people while setting my boundaries. And so when I'm interacting with people, I tend to put myself into a happy state, into a positively expected state before I walk into a shop, before I talk to somebody, before I meet with somebody. Because my thing is if it's not going to be fun and awesome for me, then why would I be doing this in the first place? So I'm going to expect it to be fun and awesome, right? I'm going to expect a good outcome. I'm going to expect benevolent outcome. And so I actually am now to the point where and it changes how you treat people. It changes when you have a positive expectation. It changes how you approach people. It changes how you are with them. And also when you no longer force yourself to do things that you don't really want to do, like go to a party you don't want to go to or have a conversation you don't want to go have. It changes how because then you're not so resentful of people and going, I don't want to spend time with you people. Well, I don't have to. If I'm only doing it when I want to, it becomes a really, really positive experience. So now I have a different expectation. It starts to fuel itself, you see. And then I approach people very, very differently. I tend to think about, my future in terms of, well, how will I, deal with people as I become more enlightened? What if I become more enlightened? Then how will I be able to relate to people? And, I kind of think I heard Kryon, Kryon, who I listen to sometimes on YouTube, talking about, stop being weird, light workers, be like the masters. And the masters, they didn't rub people the wrong way for the most part. They weren't contrarian. They didn't go and point out everybody's faults. And they didn't, they actually loved, they talked with people, they shared with people, they hugged people. And I think about that. And I think that's what really resonates with me, is becoming more and more open rather than finding ways to become closed. And realizing that I don't have to, because that's helped me a lot. It's been a huge freedom to realize I don't have to protect myself. I just have to stabilize. And the more stable my vibration is, the more I can go out into the world, into all areas. And I actually very much enjoy talking to people who I fundamentally disagree with. I mean, really like people who are prejudiced or homophobic or racist or whatever. I like having conversations with those people when the energy is right, because I want to know what it's really about. I want to dig deeper, not in the attempt to convert them, but just in the attempt to understand them more, because that's fun for me. I like understanding things. I like understanding paradigms. I like understanding people. And if it gives me the chance to read their energy, because I'm willing to let a little data come up, that's really fun for me. And then also, if I'm in the right energy, magic happens. Like magic happens. People's eyes start to go and they're like, oh my God, I never thought about it that way. And you're like, seriously, are you having a change of heart right now? Like right in front of me? Like, holy shit. Right. And not because I browbeat them into it, but just because I came at them and they were obviously ready for it. Otherwise I wouldn't be in their reality and they wouldn't be in mine. I came at them with a non-judgmental, open energy. And so that's what I practice more and more, is how can I talk to more people in a way where it's going to be fun? Not how do I talk with less people? Does that help you at all?
Yeah, that's really good. Can I ask just a quick follow-up question?
A quick follow-up question, yeah.
Okay. So does that also, I guess from that perspective, it also would change if you were asking somebody else for help then, right? Because then it's just about having a positive interaction.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, it's always your reality. So if you're asking somebody for help, number one, they don't have to say yes. If you're asking instead of manipulating, right? They don't have to say yes. So they can always say no. But if they are going to come in to help you, and they've said yes, then I would have a very positive expectation of that. And I have to say, I am genuinely shocked nowadays when things don't just instantly work out. Yeah. Not even go bad, just instantly don't work out. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, I guess I better let this go for a little while. Let this percolate. This isn't done yet. I see it like a recipe, boiling on the stove. It's simmering away. It's just not done yet. I went and checked it. Nope, not just done yet. Needs a little while longer. On its way, but just not quite done yet. That's how I see this. So I back off when things don't work out right away. But it's actually more of a surprise instead of what used to be is when things don't work out. Yeah, I knew it. See, I knew it. Now when things don't work out, I'm like, what? What? Did this not come together right away? Huh. That's abnormal.
Okay.
So it is something that fuels itself, this positive expectation, and then how you deal with people. And you realize that when your world is safe to walk out to, it changes how you engage with everyone. You don't have to be defensive more. You don't have to certainly go on the offense. You don't have to defend. You don't have to try to fight. You don't have to protect anymore, because then you really can be that happy, shiny puppy that just runs out into the world and greets everybody with love and adventure. And that's exactly what they get. That metaphor is so much deeper than people realize.
Thank you.
Make sense? Good.
Yeah.
Thank you, my love. Always my pleasure talking to you. Look at you made it all the way to the end of the video. Good for you. So if you'd like a chance to be part of these Q&A calls that we do for free, then all you have to do is get onto my email list. People on my email list get free gifts like this. In fact, I'll even give you another free gift for getting onto my email list, which changes periodically. So I'm not going to tell you what it is so that I can change it, but just check the description down below. Get onto my email list, get your valuable free gift, and you will be invited to take part of one of these Q&A calls yourself, where you can ask me whatever you want. Sound like a good deal? I think so. So sign up now, get invited to Q&A call, and get your own answers. Until then, enjoy the videos every week. Thank you for bringing your light to the world.